Hey, what's up, people? Welcome back to Over in 80 Minutes podcast. This week, I'm going to be joined by a Grand National winning jockey, a professional national hunt rider. He has got over 1,500 races to his name, and that includes 200 plus winners. This also includes the famous 2013 Grand National winner on the horse Aurora's Encore, a proud Gala man. He's also got a Cheltenham Festival win to his name on Vintage Clouds. It's Ryan Mania. Let's get into the podcast. Ryan Mania, how are you, sir? Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me on. Yeah, I'm very good. Looking forward to having a good chat with you.
Mate, I'm glad I finally got you on. You're, as most jockeys, I imagine you're very difficult to get a hand on, so I'm very grateful that you've given up a couple of hours of your time to chat to little old me.
Yeah, well, it's often hard to find some time between traveling up and down the country and spending time with the family. So I look only too happy to be here, and then I'm as I say, I'm glad we can make it happen. So.
No, I'm glad, and I don't want to keep too much because for a little insight for the listeners here, we're recording this on a Friday, and I value my Friday as much as anybody, so I don't want to take up all the Ryans. So we're going to get started, Ryan. We're going to do the quick fire questions, just as soon as what comes into your head, really easy, this or that. Any funny answers or anything that looks a bit skeptical, I might call you back for it, but all in the spirit of fun.
Hey, now remember, I ride horses for a living. There's not much goes on in my head, you know.
Mate, when I've seen some of the people fall, I think you must be crazy to get on those, especially from the borders.
Crazy or stupid? I'll let you decide.
Brave's the word I give it,
yeah,
not stupid.
Yeah,
brave.
Yeah.
And people that are filled with passion, never gonna moan at somebody for being filled with passion. So.
No, that's true. That's true.
Right, nice and simple to start off. Tea or coffee?
Oh, definitely coffee.
Quite right. Night out or a night in?
Night in.
Night in. I like that. Right, if you had to get rid of one tomorrow, would you get rid of horse racing or dogs? And I know this because you're quite a passionate dogsman as well.
How'd you get rid of dogs? That's a trick question. That is a trick question. You can't get rid of dogs. You have to get rid of horse racing.
Everybody except Rona Lloyd is the only one that said the sport that they do. They'd rather get rid of that. Rona Lloyd got rid of dogs, so.
Oh no, you can't. Like, dogs are the most loyal. You know, they're the man's best friend. You can't get rid of dogs. That'd be terrible. Anyway. Exactly.
Right, a movie or a TV series? Which is your go-to?
Oh, movie.
Quite right. Oh, if you could rather have a race meet, would it rather be in the torrential rain or the sunny?
Oh, sun.
Oh, right. Kelso or Musselburgh Racecourse as your two locals?
Kelso.
Borders every day.
Every day, every time.
Right. In the car on your mini journeys, are you a playlist or are you a radio kind of man?
Playlist. I used to be a radio, but I've gone playlist for a long time now, yeah.
Right. You're having a relax after a hot day at the races, bath or a shower to unwind? Not to get clean, but to unwind.
Bath.
I'm a bath bomb kind of guy.
I sometimes spend a bit of time in the bath having to sweat weight off, so that's not enjoyable. But as sensitive as it sounds, but a nice hot bath and a glass of wine is quite nice.
You are preaching, Ryan. I'll show you right here. I've got the sandalwood candle going. You're preaching to the choir. Right, you're trying to get something organized. Are you a FaceTime or a text kind of person?
Oh, text. Or face to face. I'm not so much into the FaceTime, and I'm not big into phone call conversations. Text is my way forward. Yeah.
To go forward. I'm a FaceTime man. I must be honest, but I respect that people don't like the intrusion of a FaceTime.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm much happier face to face, but for some reason FaceTime doesn't feel face to face, does it? But
I get what you mean completely. I think it's doing this. I've got so used to getting rejections that I FaceTime people, so they have to do it to my face.
That's fair enough. Yeah, that's fair. It's a lot harder to say no to someone's face than it is over text. So, yeah.
I know, especially when you're pleaded. Right, bourbons or custard creams if you haven't wanted to dunk in your tea.
Oh, bourbons.
Correct answer. The correct one. I'm slowly on the conversion mission of getting people to prefer bourbons. Right. Are you a socks and sliders man? Yes or no?
Definitely not.
No, not a fan.
No, definitely not.
Right. What's your go-to musical? Sorry. Carry on.
Against the law. Sorry, that should be against the law to be wearing the socks. So.
I must admit, I've done it a few times myself when I'm trying to get from training.
Oh,
Right.
fair enough. Fair enough.
What's your go-to musical?
The Greatest Showman.
That's a safe answer. That's a
Yeah.
very safe answer. And final one: sweet or salted popcorn?
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, correct. I can't. People that do salted popcorn confuse me. See, there you
Yeah.
go. Nice and easy. Got some good
Nice and
answers
easy.
out of you there. Quick fire questions with Ryan Mania sorted. So, right, first thing, what's new? How's life going on for you and the family?
At the moment, very, very quiet in terms of racing.
Mm-hmm.
But still busy. The horses still need to be galloped, ridden out. So I spend a lot of time driving up and down the country and riding race horses, and then trying to keep myself fit in the gym every day, running, cycling, doing whatever I can, and then spending time with the kids and just watching them grow up. So yeah, it's pretty full on.
Pretty full. Whereabouts are you based just now when you're riding? Which stable are you riding out of?
So I'm predominantly stable jockey for Sandy Thompson and of course Sue Smith down in Yorkshire. I also ride for Mike Smith, who's through in Ayrshire. So that right there. So we're
That's 6 or 7 hours right there.
Yeah, we live in Kelso, or just outside Kelso. So that's handy for Sandy Thompson's, who's Kelso. But Sue Smith's a 3.5 hour drive, and Mike Smith's a 2.5 hour drive. So that fills my week up, as I say, going back and forward to the yard. So it keeps me on the road quite a lot.
Oh well, I couldn't even imagine doing that every week. You're a braver man than me. You must be sick of the sight of motorways and bypasses. And
I have my little pit stops. Like I'm a creature of habit. I always stop at the same services all the time, and it gives you, it just keeps you. I don't know what it is, like you have that target on the road. You know, right? I'm aiming for these services. You stop at the services and you get a coffee and something, and it just keeps you going from one stage to the next, really. And it breaks up the journey. And as I say, I know every bloody bit of tarmac on the A1 and A68. I know all these bits of roads, and it just becomes, you end up getting to your destination and you can't remember the journey because you know the road so well and you just don't take it all in. It's just your autopilot. But as I say, I don't mind the driving. I actually quite enjoy it. It's a way of like switching off almost. You're just by yourself in the car and it gives you a lot of time to think. Sometimes thinking's not a good thing, but it does give you time to think and to switch off and think about what you're doing in your life. So yeah, I don't mind it.
That's that planning ahead a bit.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I do. I literally start thinking, all right, what we're going to do in the next 6 months, where we're going to be, what are we going to do to keep ourselves interested, and like with the kids and things like that, you think, oh, what we're going to do, and it's just gives you plenty of thinking time anyway.
Exactly. Well, I was gonna, you answer my question for me. I was gonna say you must have got to that stage now where you don't even think, and then you arrive at the stable and you must go, I don't remember driving here today.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. And I think, God, did I hit anybody, or did a cyclist off his bike or something? Because you think, well, I've literally just arrived at my destination. I've no recollection of the journey. Like, what even happened? But obviously, you're just so used to driving, it becomes second nature, and that's just the way it is.
Exactly. Well, right. I want to get into talking about how you got into horses, because for those my listeners that don't know, we have a few that are outside the borders. For those that don't know, Borders is the home of Sevens rugby, but for everybody that didn't play rugby, horses is also a very prominent part of life in the Scottish Borders. So, when was the first attraction to not attraction to horses? That's worded off. When was the first fascination with horses?
Yeah, you start rumors saying things.
You can just blame that on a Peebles thing. Just say that's a Peebles thing.
Well, the horses I've been brought up with from 3-year-old. My parents were into horses and they got me into horses at a very young age, and so always had ponies. And because the local common ridings are so big in the Borders, I just spent my summers doing the common ridings, and that's really how it began. My interest in racing never really hit until around 13, 14, when I was riding out for a point-to-point trainer in Galashiels called Bill Hughes, and there was a couple of younger sort of jockey wannabes there as well. They were older than me at the time, and I remember thinking, oh, they're doing it, I could do it, and that's basically how it started. And I thought, I want to be a jockey, and that's it. I just from then on, I did everything I could, and got the I was lucky enough to find the right people to get the right advice, and it started me off on that path.
Amazing. So did mum and dad own horses, or was it just you just happened to live near the right people or know the right people?
Yeah, they did own them, but mostly just for me. They didn't own their own horses. They just got ponies for me. My father started riding out for Bill Hughes as well, so he started riding out for him, and then I eventually went to him. So Bill Hughes has been around for a long time and taught quite a lot of generations, so that was quite nice.
Bill Hughes, does Bill Hughes still get in touch? He's like, if it wasn't for me, he'd be.
Yeah, every time I see him, we have a good chat. But yeah, we don't sort of keep in touch. But but I do owe him a lot. He taught me a lot, not just about riding horses, but sometimes when you see the next generation, they've maybe not got the same work ethic as what the older generation have. Things are a little bit easier, and I think I was taught from the old school way, and you have to go into these yards and you have to stick your head down and you work hard or you get a kick up the arse. Whereas you're not allowed to do that to the younger generation now. So I was certainly feel like I was taught the right way, and that was set me off in good stead for the future.
No, I completely agree. I was my old man, and I had a few teachers that were from the rugby background, but it was, you were pulled aside and going, stop being an effing idiot, instead of here's all your list of things we can't say to you. And I think I turned out all right. So I'm an advocate for it.
Well, I'm definitely of the old school teaching. When there are times where you have to put your arm around someone's shoulder and say it's okay, but there's other times where you have to give them a kick up the arse and tell them to get on with it. So it's a fine line, and you have to know, you have to be able to judge a situation and know what's best for the person that you're dealing with. But yeah, there's a bunch of snowflakes going around these days, I'd say.
No, I agree to some extent. There's sometimes there's no substitute for stop being a dick. is the correct sentence.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
So we've led it quite nicely on the teachers. What were the teachers saying when you were young and going, like, for your social education teacher, and you're like, I'm gonna have a proper crack at being a jockey? What were they saying?
I suppose we never really got to that, because I was 14 and I was nearly thinking about leaving school. I left school at 15 to go and pursue horses. So I don't really remember having that conversation. The whole way through school, believe it or not, I was trying to be either a football player or a rugby player, and that's what I was focusing on back then. But yeah, I don't really remember the conversations with them saying that I was going to be a jockey. But the funny thing is, after I was a jockey and became successful, and you bump into one of your old teachers somewhere, and it's always really nice. They always found it really nice that they taught me, and I managed to make something of myself, and it was always quite nice to see them, actually, even though I hated school. But I think once you grow up, you appreciate everything that your teachers did for you. When you think back to the day. So.
No, I can completely. I think it must be something about the borders. I think every time I speak to someone from the borders, we all say the same thing. We go, I hated school for every second I was there, and now I look back on school with such pride. Like, if somebody makes fun of your school, you're like, hey, I'm allowed to insult that place. You're not allowed to insult that place.
Yeah, I just wish I'd stayed longer. I was like, I should have got a proper education. But I think you definitely don't appreciate how easy you've got life when you're there and when you're young. It's just when you look back now, you think, oh God, we were spoiled. It really was easy. But once you step out into the real world, it's a completely different planet, isn't it? So
exactly. No, it all changes, and it all, like you said, you look back at it and go, God, I'd give anything to be back there for a year or so.
I know.
Well, right, we're going to get into a few favourites, because I always find this quite weird. I hear, especially with the history of horse racing, there's a lot of, it comes from quite a gypsy culture, and then it's come down and things like that. So I want to just ask you, do jockeys have a lot of superstitions and things like that? Do you have any particular superstitions?
Some jockeys are very superstitious. Some of them wear jewelry that has, patron saint of whatever on it, and things like that. And mostly a lot of the Irish ones, because obviously a lot of Irish jockeys, they're quite religious, and so they can be quite superstitious. But the only superstition that I have, and like most jockeys, in fact all jockeys would be like this, is if you're wearing new gear, new kit, yeah, you have to stamp on it.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, just to get it a little bit dirty, and because it's bad luck to ride in brand new stuff. So that's
are you talking like shirt and hat, or are you talking like vest and things like that?
Anything that you wear when you're riding. So if it's brand, obviously it has to be new at some point. So it's brand new, you take it out the packet, and you're not allowed to do it yourself though. You have to get one of the other jockeys or the valets to do it, and they have to stamp on it, and it's something that nearly every jockey in the weighing room does, and that's the only thing, as I say, that everybody does. There's certain people that have their own little things, but that would be the only one that I'd worry about. And I think it's more peer pressure than anything. I thought if they didn't do it, I wouldn't do it. But I thought, well, if I don't do it and I get a bad fall, then I'm going to blame the fact that I didn't stand on the stuff. So
I was gonna say, I love the thought of you chucking on all this like brand new gear, thinking this is nice, and everybody else looking at you going, "Do you want me to stand on that for you?"
Yeah.
What are the maniacs asking me to do?
Yeah, that's the first thing. You say, "Oh, I'll stand on that for you." You go, what? I remember, I do remember the first time, and they're like literally grabbing it off me, trying to stand, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And that's what it is. It's just the superstitions that they have. So. It's just something that you learn. As I say, everybody does it, and it's yeah. I don't even know where it came from, but it's somebody must have started it at some point.
Has that gone into sort of tradition of, do you ask the more higher up jockeys to stand on it as like a rite of passage? Like, I would like, how you almost get other players get each other to sign their shirts. Do you go? Yeah. Say, I just for a listener, AP McCoy, AP, I'd be honoured if you could stand on this shirt for me, or do you just go to the guy next to you in the weighing room and go, can you stand on that for us?
I just got the guy next to me. I would never have been brave enough to ask AP McCoy to do it. But no, you just got the guy next to you. But yeah, I mean, it would have been nice. You could have AP McCoy's footprint on your new breeches. That'd have been. You could have sold them. I was
gonna say I wouldn't even wear them out. They'd be straight in a frame.
Yeah.
I'm going to be watching now next time at the Grand National or something. I'm going to be looking for the footmark on every jockey, because they always come out looking so pristine in the big parades. Yeah. And now I'll know that there's 2 footprints somewhere on everything.
Well, I'll tell you something. There'll not be one jockey in that weighing room that wears something new in the Grand National, whether they stood in it or not. No
really? Chance. No, bad luck to wear it.
No. They always try and wear new gear, like in a low key race somewhere where it doesn't matter, because they just. Right. I don't know why they think it's bad luck, but they say it's in everybody's heads.
I love the thought of Sue sending you to some place like, I don't know, either air or something for just 2 rides, and you turn up with a bag of brand new kit, and she's just got her head in her hands like, oh no.
Yeah, well, something bad's gonna happen today.
I know, she's just already packing up the car. It's like, I'll just go home now.
Yeah, we may as well go home. There's no point. There's no hope. He's got a load of new stuff. There's no chance. I've ridden winners with new gear on. Like it's not always a thing, but honestly it is. If you get a fall when you're wearing new gear, it is the first thing you blame. Doesn't matter if it was your fault, the horse's fault. You just blame the new gear. That's their fault. So.
Yeah, quite right. And then especially when you go back to Sue or something like that, you're like, oh, new shoes, Sue, sorry, it won't happen again. That's the. Yeah. I'll see you in half an hour for the next race.
Yeah, jockeys always get, they get slagged off for always having some good excuses. Now that would be a good excuse. Oh yeah, sorry, it was the new gear that did it. It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Ryan, I come from the world of rugby. I don't think anything that's gone bad has ever been my fault on a rugby pitch. Don't you worry. I've got 14 other bodies to blame.
I was going to say, yeah, at least you have 14 other people to blame. Like we, as a jockey, you've only got yourself to blame. So we're kind of limited in that one.
Ryan, I don't know if you also have a massive steed in between your legs that has a complete free rein of its own. So it's not entirely your fault.
yeah, but they're supposed to do as they're told, though, aren't they? So it's we're more likely to get blamed before the horse does, unfortunately.
True, but I've seen enough horses in the local fields to know that if that thing decided to go left, I'm not influencing it to go right in any way.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that's what we're paid to try and do, to try and keep it on the straight and narrow. But I know it doesn't always work, but yeah, we do try.
You do a damn sight better than most looking at your statistics and looking at E-Ride, so I'm not gonna blame you in any way, shape, or form. Talking about Scotland, have you ever had? I mean, this might be completely not true or anything, but have you ever had a favourite horse, or is there a particular horse that you've raced and thought I quite like him or her?
There's probably been too many over the years, but you know, this obviously the one that means the most to me is Aurora's Encore because of what we achieved. But he's probably not my favourite horse, like personality. And I don't suppose I could really put my finger on it, but there's so many, when you ride so many horses and you become attached to some and not others, and it's not necessarily the best ones that you become attached to, it's just the ones that try the hardest, or they're the nicest personalities. But as I say, I can't really put my finger on what would be my favorite, but certainly Aurora's Encore means the most. Every time I go down, like he lives here where I am tonight, and every time I go down the field to see him, there's always very nearly a tear in my eye. It's like always like a real nice reunion. Because it was a special day. So yeah, he's definitely a special horse.
Are the kids old enough to understand the relationship between you and Aurora's Encore yet? Obviously,
no,
with your child being called Aurora, but
yeah, well, she's only she's started now understanding that I'm a jockey and things. So she talks to me about it, but she doesn't quite understand that part yet. And she's met Aurora's Encore once, but not since she was old enough to remember. So she actually needs to see him again soon, and hopefully she'll understand a bit more then. And not that she'll necessarily remember, but we'll have to get her down to see him every year, because he's getting older. So,
he must be. What is he? How old is he now?
He'll be 17 or 18.
Right.
And horses, they can get to 25 or something. They can live a long life, but from now on in, anything can happen. He is getting old, so we need to,
exactly.
give him love and cuddles whilst he's still here.
Any animal that wants love and cuddles is always a favourite. You'll never have to go too far to find somebody that wants to give a horse a cuddle.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Well, that's of course, unless they're scared of them. I see enough people that won't go near them. But what's that? The film, Sherlock Holmes film, when he said he doesn't like to ride horses.
Oh yeah, the Robert Downey Jr. one.
Yeah, because I can't remember what the hell the saying is now, because it was spot on though. It was they're dangerous at both ends and crafty in the middle or something. It was something like that, and it's 100%. They can be, they can bite, they can kick, and even when you're sitting on their backs, you're not safe. So it's they can be tricky.
I was just always taught never stand directly behind them, and if you're feeding them, make sure your palm's open, otherwise they'll take a finger as well.
Yeah. Well, you've been taught well.
Exactly. We have we're quite lucky. We have a small state, not a racing stable. We have a little one just at the bottom of the hill. And then if we're ever feeling nice in the summer, we walk up with some carrots or something. And
that's good. Yeah.
I don't know if the owner is listening to this. I think I know them, so they'll probably be going, "Can you feed them a horse carrots?" The horse seems to like it. So
yeah, the horses will love it. They'll be fine. Exactly.
We're saving them money on feed as well. It's an expensive hobby having a horse.
It is very expensive. Yeah, very expensive.
So, speaking of favourite horses, do you have favourite tracks? I know for myself as a rugby player, there were certain pitches I preferred playing to others. Do you have favourite tracks or?
Kelso, like 100% Kelso. Not only because it's my local, but I've had the most winners around there. I just like riding around there, and that's first and foremost my favourite track. But apart from that, it's not the only track. I don't like Musselburgh. I hate Musselburgh.
Really?
Yeah, I hate it. It's like it's sharp and like you go too fast. The ground's never soft. It never probably mostly because it doesn't really suit the horses that I ride.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It suits your flat racy type of horses, whereas I the trainers I ride for usually have your big national hunt types. So I've never had a lot of luck around there. I've had a few winners, but not a lot of luck. I don't like that.
Sorry, carry on. Or is that you?
I just say I don't like Wassup.
Yeah. I'll just make that the title of the podcast. Ryan Mania hates Wassup.
Ryan Mania hates Wassup. Yeah, well, I do tell the managing director that every time I'm there, I'm like, yeah, I hate this place. So don't ask me to promote your race course. Although I will say they do a great job at running the race course. It's not their fault, the way the track is. That's just personal preference. So. I
don't know if you're the right person to ask. Does the sea affect it in any way, shape, or form? Obviously, with it being right on the coast, does the wind do that get up?
Not necessarily the sea, but because it's next to the sea, the turf, the soil is sandy, which is why the ground never gets very soft. So it means that you get sort of good ground all year round. But as I say, that doesn't often suit the horses that I ride. They all want softer ground, so that's you end up going too bloody fast around it, and I don't like it. Slow the go, we better.
Exactly.
Much better.
Especially when you're doing your 3 or 4 milers, and you're like, why is my horse having to sprint around this?
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. How's that?
Perfect.
You hear me good? You alright?
Quite fat.
Mate, it's fine. The camera adds 13 pounds, which is what I tell myself every time.
Yeah, there was a trainer I had a winner for a couple of weeks ago. He used to be a jockey, and he got interviewed after the race, and his shirt, he was wearing a shirt that was too small for him, and he was about popping out of it. And he said his wife phoned him up and said, Jesus, what were you wearing that shirt for? He says, TV must add £10, and he was like, I think how many cameras were on me?
That's brilliant. I was gonna just be back in, but I actually quite like that story, so I might try and keep it in. For those of that are just a bit wondering there why it sounds a bit clip, Ryan's iPad moved. I got a bit of technical difficulty, but he finished at a lovely time, so we're back in now, so we're all good. Right, Ryan, you led me on to the nice bit there. So we were talking about Aurora's Encore, and obviously the memories you have with it. Do jockeys keep souvenirs? Do people in the racing world keep souvenirs?
Yes, for big races. Like after the Grand National, I kept the number cloth and the breeches and a race card. So I've got it all framed and got it on the house. And it's the same with any big winner you have. You try and keep the number cloth or keep a memento. But otherwise, that's it. And unless if you come across something that's worth having, you just take it. Hope nobody catches you. It's handy. Like I think some guys that they get on certain days they'll get everybody to sign the race card, so they have a little memento of the day and things like that. So I'm not big into collecting things, but certainly the big winners that I've had, like with as I say with the Aurora's Encore's number cloth and things, that's all on the wall, and I'm getting the number cloth from Vintage Clouds winning at Cheltenham. I'm getting all that done as well. So they're nice things to have up on the wall so that people can see them. So.
Exactly, especially such impressive performances like Vintage Clouds one, because she came out of nowhere right at the end as well.
That was a great day. I never ever thought that I'd have a Cheltenham winner, and so to have one, after coming out of retirement, 18 months after coming out of retirement or whatever it was, was just absolutely out of this world. So yeah, that was definitely one worth remembering.
Oh no, it's a very easy one to remember. It's almost emotional watching it for exactly the reason that you said, especially with Scottish coverage being a bit more biased towards certain people, as I'm sure you'll know when you watch Scottish TV. There's always a bit more patriotism whenever a Scottish person does well.
Oh yeah. But the funny thing, they have to be. You've got to be. But yeah, it was just one of those amazing days. But yeah, I think I always find it funny with TV and media, and they are it. I can understand because people are only your friend when you're racing, when you're winning. You still hear me all right?
Yeah. What was that? People are only friends with you when you're winning, you said?
The media are only nice to you when you're winning. When you're losing, they don't want to know you. You know, and when you have a big winner like that, oh, well done. We always knew you were great, but oh, you didn't tell me that when I was falling off the other day. So yeah, it's a funny concept. Funny concept.
Oh, mate, you're stuck with me now. I'll be texting you to the help, being like, I saw you race today, thought it was amazing, well done. You'll be like, okay, I pulled up with 6 fences to go, Sam. I'll be like, yeah, but you tried. That's what counts.
Yeah.
You tried.
That's nice. That is nice. Yeah. I'll take that every day of the week. You'd rather hear from someone saying, "Oh, I saw you had a shit day. Keep your chin up," rather than get the text when you have a big winner saying, "Oh, well done. That's great. You won me money. Oh, well, cool."
Yeah, cool. Give me half of it. I did the work.
My response, and then they just laugh, and I'm like, no, I was serious.
Yeah. No, there's a fee attached to this. Yeah.
Exactly.
Quite right.
At least a pint, like God.
Exactly. Well, I owe you at least a few for coming on this, and you've won me a fair bit of money in the time as well. So.
Oh, there we go. We'll hold you to that one. Yeah.
Mate, next time we're in Gala, what's the name of the wee pub down by the old cinema? That one.
By the old. I don't know.
That's been a few. I'll be in Nidderdale at some point. I'll buy you a pint then. Next time I'm there, I'll give you a colour.
That'll do. Well,
next time you're at Kelso and we're not racing, and I'm there, I'll text you and see what the crack is.
Perfect.
Oh, I've got bad memories of having days out at Kelso races. That's giving me a bit of PTSD there.
Well, you see, I've never had a day out at Kelso. Never ever.
It's because you're always working.
I know. I always miss out on all the. Well, I was going to say naughty times, but yeah, I suppose it would be. By the time you get Kelso all day getting hammered, you never know what you're getting up to. But yeah, I've always miss out.
If there's ever a day when you're not, we'll make a day of it.
Yeah, I tell you one thing that you miss out on as I suppose as any sportsman, seeing people's reaction to when you win. When I won the national, it was Galashiels the same day, and obviously, like I would know 90% of the people that were there, and I was told from people that like the club rooms absolutely erupted when I won, and that's you wish that someone had filmed it. You wish that, because I think if I was there, and it was somebody that I knew and somebody that everybody else knew, God, it would be the adrenaline rush would be amazing. Everybody cheering and everybody being happy. And as I say, when you're the one, doing that thing on TV, you don't get to see that side of it, which is a shame. That's one thing I wish that I was able to see, was everybody going nuts when I won the national. That's that would be nice.
I'm sorry you never got to see it. I was under the impression somebody had recorded it, especially at that time.
Not that I'm aware of, anyway.
Well, I can't. I'm trying to think if I was there in 2013. I might have been at Galashiels, but I don't think I was in the bar. I don't think I was old enough to get in the bar. I mean, at Galashiels, that wouldn't have technically stopped me being legally required or not. But
probably not.
The way you've got to look at it there is the reason all those people are going mental is to celebrate your achievement. I suppose is the response I'd tell you after that is, if it wasn't for your achievement, there wouldn't be that situation. So
yes, yeah. You just wish it's just that side of it you wish you could see, because when you're watching any rugby match, football match, and it was really boring when there was no crowd. I thought it wasn't, when there's no atmosphere.
Yeah,
that atmosphere that really gets you engrossed in it and really gets you enjoying it. And as I say, even when you're at the races and you've got the crowd, it's not the same as taking a back seat and watching it all unfold. So yeah, but it's something you can't change it. But I'm just saying it's something that always annoys me that you can't see. But never mind.
Well, I'll make sure if you're ever in a big race again, I'll keep a phone just there for recording purposes for when you do. I won't even say if, I'll say when. Because I remember hearing those stories about the William Hill and Gala boarding up the windows after you won, because apparently it was like a plague swarming on that place. Because apparently everybody had put money on.
They ran out of money. Yeah, they ran out of money. They didn't have enough money to pay everybody else. So yeah, that was. It's always good to hear those little stories. Yeah, that was good.
The one time a bookies lost was in Gala in 2013.
Well, that's it. I'd say they spent years stealing money off all the gala people, so they owed them it back. They owed them it back.
Quite right. Before we get into your, I mean, we've sort of touched on it already with the big ones, but before we get into the journey of your pro racing career, I want to talk about, because I'm a massive advocate for women in sport. I think the way the equality is going is the right way, and I always preach horse racing as one of the parts in that. Have you felt that as a jockey, the equality in women's sport? Because for you, it probably seems quite normal having women competing with you guys and just getting on as if nothing's new. So, what's it like for you to see the rest of the world sort of catching up?
Yeah, well, this is the thing, and like racing still gets a little bit of stick for it, which is ridiculous because we compete with women on a level playing field, and rightly or wrongly, we treat them like as equals. We're all the same. We're not. She's not a woman. We're not men. We're just jockeys. That's how we look at it. There are some who will remain nameless female jockeys that try to separate it themselves, like look for special treatment because they're girls or women, and it shouldn't be like that. We're all just jockeys and we're competing together, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. And it's something that should be encouraged. Rachel Blackmore last year, absolutely unbelievable. All the winners she had, the Cheltenham she had, winning the national. If that doesn't inspire the next generation of female jockeys, then I don't know what will. And she said it herself. She doesn't see herself as a woman jockey or a woman rider. She is just a jockey, just like the rest of us. And that's the attitude that we want. And I dare say you're never going to see women's rugby and men's rugby joining. Then I can't see there being a mixed team. But what slightly saying I get annoyed about it is wrong, but women's rugby or women's football isn't, it's not on the same level as men's in terms of TV coverage. Your Six Nations, whatever, it's on mainstream TV and it's accessible. Whereas I know the women's is on TV, but you kind of have to go out your way to find it. It's hidden on the back channel somewhere, or you have to live stream it or something like that. And I don't know why it's not, pushed at us a bit more, because it's great TV to watch, and it's something that should definitely be encouraged.
No, I couldn't agree more with everything you just said. I thought the way you summed it up at the start was beautifully. I'm not a male, she's not a female, we're all jockeys. That's it. And I think that's so perfect for women's sport as well. It's just we're all just athletes. Is what we are. We're athletes.
All you want to do is compete at the highest level, and if everyone that's there has sacrificed a hell of a lot to get there, and you've got to respect that, and that's all everybody's trying to do. And I hate when they try, and the media are just as bad. They try and separate it off. They try and make it men and women and this and that, and it's not. As you say, we're all just athletes trying to perform and compete against each other. And racing has been streets ahead of every other sport for a long time now, in the fact that we all compete together, which is great. And as I say, it's not even strange for us. It's completely normal, and there's some bloody good female jockeys out there. So long may that continue.
Exactly. I'll be honest, my personal favourite jockey behind you, obviously, is Bryony Frost. I also put the local man, but Bryony and Frodon have always been my favourite. They're my go-to. If there's ever a race, I was like, Bryony and Frodon, it's done. Even if they're like 30-1 outsiders on it, Bryony and Frodon, I'll back them to the hill. So
they're like I'm trying to think of the ultimate combination. Some film somewhere must have like the ultimate duo. I mean, the races they've won and the way that they bond in a race is pretty special, and it's probably something that you won't see for a generation. Like the connection that those two have, and the way that the races that they've won is incredible. And just like Rachel Blackmore, Bryony's managed to do a lot for women in sport and in general. So as I say, it's great that they're there competing. But again, I'll say it again, they're not competing as women, they're competing as jockeys, and that's the main thing.
Exactly. No, couldn't have put it better myself. I could not. That was almost so perfect the way you described it. People wouldn't believe that was a one-take thing, but that was perfect. that was perfect. I was just like, if I've ever wanted something to sum up how like equality in sport should be in terms of gender, that I'll just play that.
Oh, send it everywhere. Send it there.
I'll be asking you. You're the famous one on the podcast.
this is what we think about equality. This is the way we go.
I know. Of all the places you'd never think you'd find it, the rural borders. Here we are. Right, Ryan. I want to get into talking about your pro race career because you've actually had a bloody impressive professional career as a jockey, for want of a better phrase. You've been incredible. So, what was it like getting that first race in Cartmel in 2009? Like, what were the nerves like on that day? If you can even remember that far back.
That couldn't have been my first race, was it? No.
According to Racing TV stats, your first pro race was Cartmel in 2009.
Well, maybe it was. What was the horse? Does it tell? Have you got it written down?
I didn't write down the horse. I was about to go. I can find you the horse. Let me go. Let me go.
Yeah, I was interested. I can't. You know more than me if that's the case.
I mean, I'm proving that my research is. When do you think your first race was, out of interest? And I'll slyly go and do some research on the fly.
In all honesty, I don't know. This is news to me. I probably feel like I thought it was maybe Perth or something. But no, I can't. I'm just interested to know what it was. It might jog my memory.
I will have a look for you here, and in the meantime, we'll do the finest bit of waffling you've ever seen to try get in between. So, what was the nerves like on the first season though? Like, did the nerves last for a while? Was it every race kind of thing?
No, there's no nerves. Believe it or not, you're not. It's my wife asked me that a lot. Actually, well, she did. Doesn't bother now, but she, do you not get nervous? And I'm like, sometimes when you think about it, when you're sitting at home and you're thinking about what you're going to ride and you're going to ride in these big races, you start to get a bit. I don't know if nervous is the right word, but a little bit exciting, a little bit, a little bit of something. But nerves are not the case. As soon as you get to the races and as soon as you get on that horse, it's definitely not nerves. It's just you're there to do your job, and like anything, and it's that adrenaline rush and that will to win that just takes over. So as I say, nerves just don't really come into it.
I was gonna say, not to sound cliche, but the blinkers come on and you're just like, I'm paid to do a job now.
100%. It's almost like as soon as your goggles go down, that's it. You're just in that focus, and you're in the zone, and that's the best way you can describe it. Blinkers, it's the same thing. Blinkers, goggles, whatever it is, you're just you're almost, the expressions on your face almost change. You almost just go into like, that's it.
Yeah.
And straight away, we're all mates in the weighing room. We all chat and have banter and whatever else. But as soon as you're on that racetrack, they're your enemy. So it's it's a weird environment when you're mates 1 minute and then not the next. But that's just the way it is. And as I say, everyone's the same. The blinkers come on and they just go for it. So that's it.
I was going to ask you to that point, because that's what we see. So when the horses are making their way to the start line, everybody's laughing and joking, especially with Matt Chapman, when you're doing the big races and he's there like almost leaning over the first fence, pointing the microphone at you going, do you want to do an interview? And you're like, not right now, mate, I'm a bit busy. But at what point do you look at the guys around you and go, right, you're not my mates anymore? Is it once the starter calls you in, or is it once you get to the starting point?
Once the tapes go back. Because when you're walking around the start, depending on the situation, you can still have a bit of chat and a bit of a laugh and whatever. But as soon as the tapes go back and the race starts, that's it. Game over.
Right. I'm still looking. Right. So here we go. Is it Samsidat was the first one? Cartmel, 27th of the 5th, 2009.
Definitely not. Definitely.
No.
No.
Well, Racing TV have embarrassed you over an 80-minute podcast here, so I can. Obviously,
just doesn't go back far enough. It must.
Oh.
It must. So Samizdat, I rode. That was quite a way in that I rode him. So, it was. I guess it could even have been. It must have been 2008 when I became professional or something, and I can't rightly remember. I can't rightly remember.
There's been a few since then. There was over 796 pages to flick through to find that. So
yeah. I was going to say when you read out the statistics at the start, I wasn't sure about the number of rides. It should be more than that, and I've certainly had more winners than that as well. So
all you've told me there is once we finish this, I'm going to ask you for the real statistics. I'm going to go and redo the intro, and nobody will ever know.
But yeah, I've had over 200 winners. I can't remember what it is exactly, but it's over 200.
200 plus will do.
200 plus, and we generally operate at about a 10% strike rate. So
at least 1,000 runners then.
So yeah, at least it has to be over 1,000. Yeah, it has to be over 1,000. So.
You must be at 2,000 if you're a 10% strike rate. Yeah, 2,000 runners, 200 wins.
Yeah, well, it's to have to. Yeah, I don't know what it is exactly, but I should certainly. Where do you go racing TV? You have better off looking at Racing Post.
They only go back the last 5 seasons. I've checked them because that's what I used to use.
If you go into the statistics,
I'll have a look. We'll have a look.
You'll probably not be able to get my first ride, but you'll get the numbers. You'll get the numbers of winners and rides. If you go jockey and statistics, somewhere somehow.
I try to because I use Racing Post when I'm trying to keep up to date with what's going on.
Yeah.
Because a little personal background about me, I've tried to stop gambling on horses because I was ridiculous for it. But I still like to keep up to date with the world of sport because I love the sport. I have so much respect for the sport.
Yeah.
So to stop myself doing that, I got rid of the gambling apps and I got the Racing Post app, and I was like, I'll just use that.
Yeah, and all the Racing Post app is trying to encourage you to gamble.
Exactly. It's just a test of willpower. I'm just an emotionally strong man now.
Every time you open it, it's some other bloody gambling company giving you an advert for free bets or some nonsense. Honestly.
Exactly, but we move on. Exactly right. Well, anyway, apart from that, we've managed to get the interesting points that we want to get anyway about the nerves and how when jockeys become friends and when they stop being friends. Because I find that so interesting as a sport. It's the only sport where you compete against people in, like you said before we came out, in 5 and 6 minute slots. Going back to being mates and sitting next to each other going, should we go out and do it again 6 more times? You go, yeah, all right.
Yeah, I think, again, I'll mention my wife again, but she sums it up quite well. And she says, it is the most bizarre sport. Like it really is. Like not only, as you explain that you go out and for 6 minutes you're enemies and then you go back in and you're mates and you're all in the same changing rooms and it's a strange environment, and then you're driving, you spend your life in the car and you're riding out in all sorts of weather, and then you have to go sweat off weight because you're too heavy, you starve yourself, you're dehydrated, you're this, you're that. And she's like, it's the most stupid sport. And why would anyone want to be a jockey? But it is the most addictive thing in the world to do. Like the buzz that you get out of it, and it just is. It's extremely addictive, and it's that's why everybody keeps doing it, I suppose.
Exactly. I want to talk about the travel on a jockey. Like we discussed when you were where you're based when you're training. How when you're racing, it's the middle of race season, and obviously you can be up and down. You can be somewhere like you can be Windsor, and then next week you can be at Ayr. Like how many miles and hours in a car do you reckon you put in a week in like a big race season?
I definitely average 1,000 miles a week.
Jesus.
And so that's how it averages out through the whole year. So we usually because you do about between 50 and 60,000 miles a year.
Wow.
So
that's just on the horses.
But I tried to think how many miles you do on the horses. Actually, that'd be a good statistic to work out.
Yeah.
Actually,
Racing Post, if you redeem yourself or find out how many miles Ryan's ran on horses, I'll let you off.
There's no chance. I have to go through every race from last season and work out, well, that was 2 miles, that was 3 miles, and add it all up.
That doesn't even count how many times you've had to go round other horses and that, 'cause you've not gone as the crow flies dead straight either.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Oh, well, I can't believe it when you see the travel you do and then you think about it, because you guys don't even, not even, I hate to keep bringing it back to rugby because I don't want to make this about rugby because you're obviously not a rugby player, but like rugby players have at the very worst 2 games in 15 or 16 days, so they'll play twice. But you guys can do almost 7-day weeks, some of you, it feels like.
Yeah, I think we get slightly forgotten about because the horses are the ones technically doing the work. You know, like that's I suppose that's how the outside world sees it. Mm-hmm. What they don't realise is that how fit we have to be the ones doing the steering. And you're completely right. As soon as you relate what we do and the care that we get in comparison to other professional sports, like we are miles behind, like miles behind. You know, you think especially when you get to top levels, every team, every, you know, tennis player, every golfer, they all have a team of people behind the scenes helping them. You know, nutritionists, physios, masseuse, like the whole shebang. And, you know, whilst we're getting better, we have centres, like Injured Jockeys Fund centres that have all these people. But they're not, you know, you can't. I live 3.5 hours away from the nearest centre, so you know it doesn't work. You know, I haven't got somebody coming in the morning saying, right, up you get, you're going to eat this, you're going to train this, you're going to, you know, we have to self motivate ourselves to get up, ride out, go to the gym, keep our weight right, and as you say, that's 7 days a week. It's not like, right, you've got a race on Saturday, you've got the whole week to prepare. No, you're every day in the car, driving, riding, racing, and it's constant. I mean, it is. I remember just last season thinking, it must have gone probably 12 or 13 days straight, like racing every day and, you know, riding out else. And I remember getting a day, like the first day off after all that block, and I sat down and I felt like I was still moving, you know, like, because
I know what you mean.
Yeah, like obviously I'd had downtime in that 12 days, but that first time I'd actually had to switch off because I'd obviously been driving up and down, racing round and round and round, and my head was, you know, you're going. And it was the weirdest feeling. That it was like it must have been a Sunday or something. You know, there was nothing happening, and I was just chilling with the family. And I remember going, God, I was just like I felt like I was still moving. It was just, so you know, in that respect, that's what I suppose when anyone interviews us, that's what we try and highlight. And it's not to make people feel sorry for us. We do it through choice, and we love doing it. But it doesn't even compare to these other sports, and you know, the money that these sportsmen get paid for, you know, and they get far more care and attention than we do, basically. And as I say, nobody really sees that side. I suppose the outside world will think that we get treated the same as all these rugby players, football players, and things like that. But yeah, we're far from it.
Oh no, I've spoken to enough rugby players to know that there's also some of them that get hung out to dry a wee bit as well. So
yeah,
sounds like there must be some physio in Gala that must be dying for a wee bit of publicity that you can go free massages for life, and I'll get your name somewhere on a short.
Yeah, there'll be someone, but it's again, it's because the nature of what we're doing, because we don't necessarily know where we are from one day to the next. You know, you're literally all over the place. It's not like going to the training centre and spending a day there and then going home. You know, we're literally everywhere, which makes everything else really difficult. Fitting in the training and seeing people and things like that. So, as I say, I'm certainly not complaining. I'm just, you know, trying to highlight the difference. And it's funny. I sat I was at an awards dinner years ago, and I sat next to the boxer. Was it Ricky Burns, a Scottish boxer? I don't want to get the name wrong, but it was, he was lightweight boxer, and the similarity between boxers and jockeys is quite scary. When they're trying to make weight, and the way that they live and they train. But the huge difference there is, how many fights will they have a year? I don't know, 2 or 3.
Five if they're unlucky, something like that.
And so they get so much time off in between, and as I say, they have that goal. But and yes, they have to get their body weight way down, from what's probably not very natural for them. But then they have the weigh in the day or two before they fight, and then they can they can eat again.
Yeah.
Whereas we have to keep our body weight down 305 days of the year. So that's probably the most intense and the hardest part. And no matter who you are, what jockey you are, you have some issue with weight. Like there's people out there that are naturally light, but they're not just going out and eating, pizzas and kebabs every night. Everyone in the weighing room is trying to be lighter.
Yeah.
And then they are. Everyone has. If you're not, you might not have a problem, but you're always thinking about it. And that's something that always plays on your mind.
I know, it sounds horrible coming from a guy who has never been told not to eat the bars when weight's been more of an advantage than a disadvantage. So I can feel your pain of being told you need to lose some weight.
Yeah. It's not always easy. And it makes it worse that you wouldn't crave the food as much if you were allowed to have it, rather than when someone says you can't.
Exactly. Is that human ethos of as soon as you're not told you can't have it, you want it?
Yeah, it's the horrible world when it's like that. It's horrible. I don't know what's wrong with the human brain. Why that?
Oh, who knows? You're busy throwing yourself off horses at 30 miles per hour, so there's a few things.
Hey, 40 miles per hour.
I was being nice. I was helping you get under the speed limit, but making it road legal.
Yeah.
Right. I want to talk about the big day, the National 2013. Obviously, not the biggest day in your life in terms of the grander scheme, but in terms of horse racing, it's probably up there. So,
right.
and we've touched. You've done well to sort of tease little parts, and now I get to ask all the questions back to back. So that's quite good. So we were talking about the atmosphere of crowds and how things like that. What was the crowd like on Grand National Day? Like when you're racing up the hill for the Roar, what stuff like that?
Well, certainly coming up the home straight.
Yeah.
The end of the Grand National was, I don't really remember it. Everything was a blur. Everything, I was in disbelief. I have no recollection of it. Like when we're talking about autopilot on the motorway, that is the best way to describe it. I just cannot remember it. Obviously I can watch the video back, and it, even now when I watch it, I don't believe that it's me. I truly don't believe that it's me. But what you get from watching it is that the crowd were very quiet because they didn't know who I was. They didn't know who the horse was. I suppose they were watching going, who the hell is this? Who's just won the Grand National? So they were very quiet. But one thing you notice on the big days is just the constant noise. Not necessarily the massive cheers, but it's just the constant atmosphere and the constant noise. And it makes everything so much more tense. It makes the horses tense. It makes the riders tense. Just it gives you that sense of like something huge is going to happen. And of course, those big races, that's what it is. It's something huge. Somebody somewhere is going to enter the history books, and that's kind of what it's all about. And the massive crowd there that's what creates that intense atmosphere.
Wow, you talk a good question there is obviously horses are not stupid animals by any stretch of the imagination, but do they sort of realize that something big is about to happen as well? Can you feel it in the horse?
Yeah, well, they're not, horses aren't necessarily intelligent animals, but they feel everything, they feel everything that the jockey's feeling, and they feel everything out with, so the massive big days, like they can really push a horse the other way. Like if you've got a horse that's excitable, they can lose the race before they even get to the start. You know, if it's a massive crowd and a massive atmosphere, it can really push them over the edge. It's something that you need a very, very calm horse for. The more calm they are in the preliminaries, the better.
Is that why they always tell you not to go for the horse that is jumping around, swiping its head up and down?
Yeah, the one that's throwing itself around is generally run before the race has started. So yeah, it's not worth. It doesn't always happen like that, but yeah, it's usually not worth it.
I was gonna say that horse is as happy as everybody else to be there. That's what I take from it.
No, that horse has got anxiety issues. That's.
So I want to know, what's the Jockeys room like specifically before the National? Because we're talking about 2013, and we're going on about these superstitions. Is there like a special embrace that everybody has? Do you have like, I don't know if a team huddle is the thing you do in the weighing room, but does everybody have like a go out and be safe type thing? Or
yeah, the atmosphere is strangely different before the Grand National, because it is the biggest, most dangerous race there is, and suddenly everyone's a lot nicer. Like, everyone's nice, but you know, like, there's like a sense of real mutual respect between everybody. You know, and everybody's saying best of luck, you know, and you know, it's really a race that you really are you're sort of in it together. Like, certainly beforehand, it's a strange togetherness. It's hard actually to explain. It's something that you just, you know, you feel when you're in there, and certainly everybody becomes a bit more intense, and you know, like, your quiet jockeys, suddenly they become a bit louder, and your louder lads, they become a bit quieter, and it's definitely a completely different atmosphere than any other day.
I was gonna say, 'cause that sounds almost like people, you almost want not want each other to win, because you know you're all there to do the job and win the race and go in the history books, but it sounds like everybody is a team, as weird as that sounds, in a 40 strong plus competitive race of individuals. But
no, it's 100%, because every jockey in there knows that it's the Grand National. Literally anybody could win. You know, like, you know, it's not like going out for a 0 to 100 at Kelso, where you're pretty sure you know what's going to win. You know, and you know, the Grand National, anything can happen. So nobody's, you know, as I say, everybody's just got that mutual respect, and as I said before, that we're all going out there to try and be a part of the history books, and it's just such a big deal. That everybody's just, in a sense, you have got that team feeling. Like, you know, I'm lucky enough to have still played rugby at senior level and be a part of a team, and I enjoy being part of that team, and that is what it's like on Grand National Day. It's like you're all patting each other on the back before you go out, and there's no other race like that. You don't do that for any other race, except that day, and it's really nice. But don't get me wrong, as soon as the tapes go back, it all changes.
The blinkers go on, so I didn't mean any of that. I'm going.
Yeah, exactly.
No, quite right. Hey, like we said before, we're all competitors trying to win at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know you said you don't really remember going up the home straight, but what was that feeling like when all, as we said, all the cameras suddenly turned towards you and you're Scotland's prodigal son? What's that feeling like, when the winning feeling, when somebody goes, Ryan Mania, you've just won the Grand National?
I was waiting for the stewards ding dong to go and say, oh, actually, no, you haven't won, someone else has won.
It turns out he's missed a lap. He's just run up the home straight.
You missed a fence down there somewhere. I don't know how you managed. Look, it was amazing, and it was just madness. You know, like you get people from everywhere, and you get into the winning enclosure, and everybody's there. There's no space to think to do anything, and then you weigh in, then you're off into the press conference, and it's just like, I didn't get back into the weighing room, into the changing room for like an hour. You know, like,
really?
Yeah. So, you know, you're out speaking to people, and you know, so it was a good hour before I was able to go in and just sit down and just try and, you know, take in what the hell had just happened. And so it was utter madness, is the best way to describe it. But, you know, that was amazing. And I do remember all of that. As I say, I don't remember finishing the race, but I do remember the aftermath and everything that went down, and it just was absolute madness. But it was amazing. You know, it was like the you know, I think all jockeys are adrenaline junkies, and you know, I managed to get that adrenaline rush from, you know, the aftermath with everybody being buzzing around about you, like literally everyone was buzzing, and it was just, yeah, it was an amazing feeling.
Wow, no, I can't imagine, because for me, from an outsider looking in, the Grand National is the pinnacle of horse racing, and I think it always will be considered that. So, for as far as my interpretation of horse racing goes, you were the best jockey in the world for that 1 year until somebody else took the crown off you. So
yeah,
it must be that sort of feeling.
Well, maybe the best. Yeah,
as long as we ignore champion jockey and things like that, but you're fine.
I'm not sure about that, but yeah, I'll take it.
I'd have it. You can have over an 80 minutes podcast, unofficial greatest jockey.
I tell you what I was more upset about was, I was, you know, in terms of Scottish sport, you know, that kind of, you know, that is, as far as racing is concerned, I can't win a bigger race. You know, like that is a pinnacle. I agree with you there. But then Andy Murray went and won Wimbledon the same year. Completely, everyone must have forgot about me. They're like, "Oh, Andy Murray's won Wimbledon. Never mind you. You're just this little Scottish jockey." So
I think you're selling yourself really short there. Everybody was very impressed, and the Borders was very proud of you. Murray's from Edinburgh. We don't associate with a big city.
Well, that's fine. That makes me feel better.
I can sense the sarcasm, but I'll take it.
Sense the sarcasm, yeah.
So, you said it took you an hour to get back to the jockeys room. What was that like when you got back in? Because obviously, I'm so interested now that you said the level of respect and everything changed in the jockeys room. Was it like champagne spraying for everybody? Was everybody buzzing for you? Or was it just a quick shake of the hand? Or
yeah, well, yeah, a shake of the hand, a hug. You know, just real, and it was amazingly after every time someone rides a winner, everyone will say well done in the weighing room. You know, it's just a thing. Everybody congratulates the winner, but some lads don't always mean it. You know, like you say it, but you know, you're like, yeah, well done, but you know, and it's just because you say it all the time. You know, but with a race like that, people really mean it. You know, like they come up and they really say, "Look, well done, amazing, blah blah blah." So yeah, there was plenty of that. And as I say, I just took a minute, had a shower, and just tried to just, you know, come down off the high somehow. You know, just to try and take it all in as much as I could, which wasn't easy. But it was madness. But it just, I think it took me a long time to come. Well, actually, it took me to the next again day to relax, but that's because I ended up in hospital. But it's very, very hard to actually come down from something like that. But it's very nice. The nicest part was AP McCoy, actually. Was him coming up to say well done. Now he'd never done that before, and I suppose that's what makes you realize that, you know, it's that kind of race. Like that's when I say that the guys come up to you to say well done and they mean it, they really do mean it. So,
well, I can only imagine. That sounds like it would have been one of the most surreal experiences. From even I say from the weighing room before. I don't think I could ever even comprehend being in that situation. So credit to you and massive congratulations, as I've told you many times, about winning the race. So well done. And hopefully the horse got some plaudits as well at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. He's the one that deserves all the he deserves all the well dones he does.
Exactly. He's living a life of luxury now in Yorkshire, isn't he? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's enjoying his retirement.
Right. So after that, you carried on for another year, and then you actually took a break from horse racing. You decided you were sort of taking a step back from the sport. And now, like I was saying to you before we got on this, I thought you were really harshly done by the media for the way they described it. Because you said that one quote where you think, all I could do was give up. But then if you watch the interviews, that's not what you meant at all. And they took that short stay and just went, "Oh, that's going to get the headline." But I kind of want to talk about your break, because you did it for. I want you to explain it, because I don't want to put words in your mouth. So tell us about the break.
Yeah, well, look, I building up to the break. Really, I had stuff going on in my life that, you know, made things difficult, and it then affected my weight, and so that was bad, and something had to give, you know, and I had to do to change the course of my life. I didn't like the person that I'd become, you know, like, just because I was miserable through having to sweat too much and lose weight and things like that. So I gave up, and you know, at the time it was a huge relief. You know, I did feel for a long time felt huge relief, because I didn't have to worry about what I was eating, doing, drinking. You know, it was, you know, suddenly life was less stressful for a little while. So I took the time away. I met my now wife just before I retired, or took time off, and then we built a life together. We got engaged, we got married, we had kids, and then, you know, there was something. I became assistant trainer to Sandy Thompson, and when he offered me that job, I suddenly thought, maybe, you know, perhaps I should give being a jockey another go, because I definitely worked out that I gave up too soon. I did it for the wrong reasons. You know, I did it because, you know, I didn't do it because I wasn't enjoying my racing. It was just personal circumstances that dictated to me, you know, almost pushed me to do it. And you know, I was in a real good place, happily married, kids, and I thought, why not give this another go? And well, I'm very, very glad that I did. As I say, it's gone so well. And you know, you go out there every day and you do it for your wife and your kids, and you've got a real reason to be out there risking your life and driving the miles and riding these mad horses.
No, you smashed it. And like I said, as I said to you before we came on, when they said you gave, I hate to say the phrase you gave up, because that's the furthest thing from the truth. You took a break from horse racing, and then, like you said, you got married, you met your now wife, you had kids, you've watched your kids grow up for a wee bit. That's a very successful time off in my point of view.
Well, that's it. It's hard to say. Like, I cannot say that I regret taking the time because of what's happened. Like, I genuinely would not have been married had I kept racing, because I wasn't a nice person. It wouldn't the relationship wouldn't have lasted. So I've taken the time. I've got myself sorted. And the one thing that I was slightly annoyed about was when I had the Cheltenham winner, they tried to turn it into mental health issues. I didn't have mental health issues. I just you know, I was just having a bit of a shit time. Forgive me, my friend. You know, it was.
It's a Scottish podcast. You can swear if you want.
Having a shit time, and it was nothing to do with mental health. And whilst I agree, everybody, you know, there's a lot of people have mental health issues, but I at the time I wasn't one of them, and they tried to turn it into that, and it wasn't. I needed to take time to sort myself out, and as I say, started a family, and that's, I cannot regret that in the slightest.
Exactly that. I'm an ambassador for a mental health group, and then I try to say that to people that there's such a difference between having mental health issues and just everybody has shit days, and you're allowed to have a shit day. It's like you don't have to get out of bed like singing and dancing every day.
Yeah. People, I think that's what I mean. You have to differentiate what's mental health and what's just a shit day. Like, it's so true. And I do think, and I don't want to slag anyone off, but I do think people are too quick to say, "Oh, I've got mental health issues," when actually you are just having a shit day, and it does just happen.
Well, I think a good thing is like what you said. I think a lot of other people tell them that as well. I think a lot of people have gone, "You've got mental health issues," going, actually, mate, that person's just having a bit of a shit day, which is perfectly all right to have. Like,
yeah, well, I know a couple of people that, you know, they've been diagnosed with depression, and all the doctor does is say, "Oh, here's some pills." And quite honestly, all they need is someone to speak to. They've got problems, a few bit of crap going on. All they need is someone to sit there and listen. They don't need to be on medication, and that's something I feel quite strongly about. But it's fair, I can't really do anything about it. But if any of my friends are ever having a shit time, that's all I try and do is to try and speak to them and to try and help and hopefully make them feel a bit better. And sometimes all you need is a good night with your mates to realize that actually you're okay.
No, exactly. I couldn't put it into any better words myself. Sometimes you just need your mate to put an arm around you and go, tell me what's up, and I'll see how I can help if I can't help.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Well, anyway, right, so 2019, I'm going to say the worst pun I've ever said, but you're back on the horse. So I didn't even have that one written down. I wish I had, because it'd be a bit less cringy if I had, but that one came to me. So 2019, you're back on the horse. For all I know, this could be a lie based on racing TV statistics, but you're back in air, you're racing in air, and it's Fair Minx is the horse you're on. I had this one written down.
Yeah, oh, you've got that one. Yep, that
hey,
right.
I'm racing TV. I'm the messenger. So how did that feel when did the crowd have any sort of acknowledgement that you were returning to racing? Had it been a bit of a build up, or did you just kind of want to sweep back in under the radar?
I feel like I swept in quite under the radar, actually. There was obviously a little bit in the Racing Post and things, but I did actually manage to just sort of quietly sneak back into it. And the strangest thing of all was that it felt like I'd never been away. It genuinely, all the lads in the weighing room, there wasn't much change there, and they were all, well, relatively happy to see me. They're all saying I was mad. You've been away. What have you came back for? You managed to get out. What are you doing? And I was like, well, so that it was a great feeling being back. And as I say, everyone was so accepting and so nice. And I had 2 rides that day, and I honestly, it didn't feel like I'd been away. And that was an assurance enough for me to know that you'd done the right thing. Like I was confident that I still had it in me, but you just don't know until you get back.
Exactly.
So yeah, it was nice to have that assurance. It was really nice. Really nice.
Amazing. And then so fresh off that, not even 13, just under 2 weeks later, first winner's back again at your favourite ground of Kelso.
Hey, Kelso,
How was that?
I thought you were going to tell me the name of it there. It was Cavantara, and it was strange that it had to be Kelso. Like that wasn't planned. It wasn't like that's where I tried to have my first winner, but it's my favorite track, home track, and it was just, it was a huge sigh of relief to get that first winner out the way, and again, it's more just a reassurance that you're able to do the job, and that that first winner was great, and it got the ball rolling. We had a fair few winners after that, and it really got me going, and it felt great.
I'm buzzing for you. I truly was buzzing for you. So that's a nice little thing there. So
thanks,
right, we've got to look after each other in the borders. It's a big world, but then all the borders kids seem to do all right.
The borders is a very small world.
Everybody, there's no such thing as secrets in the borders.
No, and what they don't know, they make up. So
I know, and even if it's still boring, they just exaggerate that rumor a bit more just to keep the time going.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's the future for Ryan Mania holds now that he's either post racing, or is there any goals for the racing career?
I've got one goal, and that is to ride a Grade 1 winner. I haven't ridden the Grade 1 winner, so that is to be ticked off the list. So I won't be retiring again until I've managed that.
Amazing.
Unless, of course, I get to 40. Oh God, I can't do this anymore. But honestly, I just want to keep riding, keep everybody happy as much as I can, just keep enjoying it. And as I say, if I can ride that Grade 1 winner, then great. But if not, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But as I say, it's I've got such a different outcome or outlook, sorry, I should say, now with my kids, seeing them growing up, and and taking an interest in what's going on, and I mean it when I say, as much as I love racing, I'm doing it for them. You're making a living. That's what you're doing it for. make money. You're doing it to keep your family. And that's no matter how bad a day I have at the races, I go home to my kids and you forget all about it. And it's a completely, it's a different world now to what I was living in before I took the time off. And so yeah, it's really, really, really good. And so long as that continues, if I can ride until I'm 40, then I'll be delighted, basically.
Well, that sounds like a great goal to have, and it sounds like you're doing it for the right reasons. So I very much support you in that, and I'll be watching all the Grade 1 attempts that you're going for. I'm sure it won't take you that long. Don't worry about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll not. I wouldn't like to say, but I didn't think I'd ride a Cheltenham winner. So here's hoping that we ride a Grade 1 winner as well. So
exactly. Right, this is getting close because it's now and it's starting to get dark, and I don't want to keep you from your family all night.
I'm just trying to turn my light on, but it won't work.
Mate, don't worry about it. It's a podcast anyway. The YouTube's not quite as successful as the pod yet, but we're getting there. So
all right, good.
So the pod will be there. Right, so the last section is under the team bus. You can tell this is very much based on a rugby phrase and terminology, but as we've pointed across today, the Jockey Collective is a very strong group of people, and it is very much a team effort, although you're all against each other. So similar to the quickfire questions at the very beginning, first name that comes into your head when I ask you the question, just say it, and then if it's a bit of a strange answer, I might ask you to explain it, or if you've got a good reason for it, then feel free to explain your choice.
Okay.
Right. First one, most determined jockey. Who's the most almost angry, bit between their teeth when they get on the horse?
Brian Hughes.
I can imagine that. I can completely understand that.
Yeah.
Who's the biggest practical joker in the weighing room?
Ross Chapman.
What have I written there? I don't even know. I'm gonna have to miss that one. Who's most up for a night out?
Oh, not so sure actually. Not so sure. Probably there's two, Ross Chapman and Tommy Dowson. They're both from the Durham area, and they're both a bit nuts and love a night out. So yeah, it's probably them.
Durham, that's the uni talking there. I'll just be bleeding.
Well, they wouldn't have gone to uni, but yeah, they might have been sniffing around the uni, but that would be it.
Exactly. Oh, there'll be stuff in the water there. There always is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who's the most clumsy? Who's the one that's always running back into the weighing rooms like, I forgot my whip or I forgot my goggles?
Oh God, who is that? Do you know? I don't know. I don't know. I can't think if there's anybody. No, pass.
No. I'll let you off with that one. Who's got the worst fashion sense? Who turns up at the start of the meet and you think, what are you wearing?
Do you know Richie McLernan? He's mostly a southern jockey, but he comes up north quite a lot. And you do see him wearing some funny things, and I'm sure it's fashion, but it's
just not a good one.
Well, it's not mine anyway. Not my kind of fashion.
Right. Who's the best dancer? If you manage to get some tunes on in the weighing room, who's the one giving it a two-step?
Oh God, jockeys aren't that much fun. There's not a lot of dancing going on in the weighing room.
No.
Can I tell you who the worst dancer is?
That was my next question, so absolutely.
Sam Coulthard. I saw a video of him dancing at a wedding a few weeks ago, and he's the worst mover in the world.
Well, you can now tell who the worst dancer is, and you'll have to start doing evaluations in the weighing room. Guys, if you ever get this podcast pestering you, figure out who the best dancer is.
We'll have to have a dance off.
Exactly. Hey, if we can film that for the podcast, that would be some good content. So let me know, and I'll set it up.
We'll see if we can make that work. Yeah.
Kelso races dance off.
Yeah. Oh God.
the tickets are printing themselves.
Yeah, we won't get Brian Hughes to do that. I'll tell you that right now.
He'll be too determined. He'll go take lessons.
Yeah. Well.
Brian, I've never met you, so I'm sorry if that's harsh. I'll just cross his name off the list of people to ask to come on the podcast after this is aired.
Yeah, I know he'd be okay like that, but yeah, he certainly won't be dancing for you. That's for sure.
Who's the future trainer? So like, who's a future coach? Well, I use this question as a future coach in rugby, but who can you see owning his own stable and yard and? Or he or she, I should say.
He or she, don't know. No, I don't know. Pass. There's not a lot. Surprisingly, there's not a lot of jockeys that look to go down that route because because you go through it as a jockey, you know how hard it is. And the trainers have just as much just as hard a job as we do, and obviously it's different, but it's a very hard job. So it's not often that they want to go and train after they've been a jockey.
Yeah. I like the thought of you looking at that and going, I want nothing to do with that. I'm going the other way.
That's kind of because we see every aspect of it, loads of it. Like some people say we're mad being jockeys, but I think you're mad being a trainer. It's very, very hard, and we see too much, and it's.
That sounds like I've got some stories to tell, almost like war flashback.
Not so. Yeah, it's just when you're dealing with, it's all revolves around the owners. You need the owners, you need the good owners, and there's not always some owners are bad, and it makes the job hard. And I think when you're a trainer, it's very hard to make money out of being a trainer, because everything costs so much. Look, it's just a hard job, and again, it's like being a jockey. It's very addictive, but as I say, from being a jockey, you see too much, so you might go, nah, it's not for me.
You have to be made of the right stuff.
Yeah, you do. 100%. You do.
Amazing. Right, who's hard as nails? Who do you think they are just impervious to damage and fall damage? Or
oh God, you know what? Again, Brian Hughes seems to manage to he seems to be absolutely hardy as. But I can't even remember who the hell everyone was talking about.
I was gonna say I remember a video of somebody who almost bounced off the floor and just sprang back up, and I can't think who it was.
No,
life in me.
Oh, there's quite a few guys in there that are just absolute made of nails. They'll be walking off the course and they come back in and they look fine. And you're like, you all right? No, I've broken this, I've broken that. I was like, God, if I've done that, I'm lying on the floor crying. And you're
exactly.
So
he's trying to get on the next horse. He's like, what are you doing?
Let me ride. And they're like, no, your arm's hanging off. And like, no, I'm fine. And it's just, I'd like to think, obviously, as a jockey, your pain threshold is quite high. I'd like to think mine is, but there are some guys that go above and beyond, and you're just, they're absolutely mad. But yeah, my brain stopped working, unfortunately. I can't think, but they are there. There are a few lads that are like that. So. Exactly.
Who's the most natural at one with the horses? So when you think of a jockey, who do you think just almost has a spiritual connection with the horses?
Yeah, natural horseman. Oh God. These aren't definitely not quick fire. God, I need time to think about these ones.
I'd rather that, because it means it's a proper answer. It's not just a cop out going AP McCoy, Rachel Blackmore. Just list off the names.
List off the names. God, who the hell? Do you know who I think is very, very good? Is Harry Cobden.
I can understand that. Yeah,
he's only 22-year-old, and although he's spent his the whole large part of his career so far riding the best horses for the best yards, but in terms of horsemanship and jockeyship, I think he's one of the best, and certainly along with Sam Twiston-Davies. I think it's very hard to find a jockey that is both a jockey and a horseman. Sometimes you get a jockey that's a horseman but not a real jockey. It's hard to explain that side, but some I should say some riders are jockeys rather than horsemen, and some are horsemen rather than jockeys. Hard to get the whole package, and I definitely think that Sam Twiston-Davies and Harry Cobden they're both. I think they're brilliant. They really are. So.
No, they're phenomenal. From the exposure I see of them, they are incredible jockeys and horsemen.
Yeah, and actually genuinely nice guys. I'll be honest, there's no bad guys in the waiting room, but they are two of the nicest guys. So yeah, very good.
Right, last two. Who hogs the mirror most post race meet? Who's the one that's getting the hair looking nice for the racing TV interview?
Oh God. Oh Jesus! There's the Southern jockey Will Kennedy looks after himself very well. He dresses very well and he looks after himself. It'd probably be him. Yeah.
There you go. That was a nice answer there. It was quick, but it was a certainty in the voice. That's true.
That's true. Definitely true.
And last one, who's the one that's most likely to order a plain meal at Nando's? Who doesn't like their spice?
Oh God. Do you know I don't know any of the jockeys well enough for that question. It's probably all of us. Probably all of us.
Just short and sweet. Give us the chicken and rice and get out.
We can't really, we can't really enjoy ourselves that much. So just keep it plain. Keep it plain and simple.
That's a nice media answer to finish yourself off there.
Yeah.
Right, Ryan. Go home question. You've got 3 cheesy pop songs to get a room ready for a night out. What 3 cheesy pop songs are you going for?
I don't know if you see, I was struggling with 3. I've got 2.
That's fine. That's fine. If they're crackers, that's all you need.
Well, my go-to is I don't know if it's cheesy, but LMFAO Party Rockers is.
That's pretty cheesy.
There you go. That is my tune, and I swear to this day that I can do the shuffle, but I can't. I really can't. When I see the videos,
and you didn't answer yourself a best answer with a quote like that.
I can't put myself down. So I swear I can do it. I really can't. And Dolly Parton, 9 to 5, amazing, great song. As
a little bit of an insider, you are set for this wedding tomorrow. If the DJ doesn't show up and you just play those first 2, you could play whatever you want for the rest of the night, and you'll be everybody's favorite.
I'll be everybody's favorite. Yeah, I mean, they're top tunes. They should be on everyone's playlist.
Exactly. And have you thought of a possible third song, or are you just going to stick with the 2 in the confidence?
I actually I love my music, but
mm-hmm.
When you ask for like the top 3,
yes, I do.
Like genuinely, they are the only top 2. Like I love a lot of songs, but like they are just I can't even think of another one that I would choose that was a cheesy pop song like that. I'm more into I like a lot of dance and a lot of classics, so they're not really very cheesy. So
well, I'd be pretty confident with those 2 that they'll go high up the leaderboard anyway. Yeah. We're about to a little insight for you. We're about to start a leaderboard now that we've got 10 or 12, and we can start ranking them fairly.
Perfect. They've got to be the top two.
Exactly. Well, Ryan, that's come to the end of the podcast. That's an absolute pleasure. Ryan, where can they find you on social media to keep up with you?
I'm on Insta.
It'll all be like down below, so don't you worry. It will all be linked.
At Ryan Mania. On Facebook, on Twitter. I mean, I'm there.
Exactly. It will all be linked down below.
I'm not very interesting, but it's there.
Mate, you're selling yourself short. I've had a real good fun hour and 30 chatting to you here. I've genuinely had a really good fun.
Unfortunately, I even tried to get my wife to do my Instagram because I'm not that way minded. Unfortunately, I'd like to, but I'm not. So yeah, we'll keep trying. I'll try and get better. I will improve.
When the millions come along from the Over 80 Minutes podcast, we'll force you to improve.
Yeah, well, that would certainly be an encouragement. It would.
Well, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening once again to the Over 80 Minutes podcast. Ryan Mania this week, incredible guest as always, without fail. Ryan, thank you so much for coming on. I'll let you go and enjoy your Friday night. Everybody else, as usual, give it a like, give it a rating, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. 5 stars helps us more than anything you can imagine. Make sure you go and comment down below what's your favorite part. I want to hear all the constructive criticism how to improve. If you're going to be mean or you're just going to try and make fun of me on social media, at least make it funny, and then I'll get a retweet of you that way. Because if you're just being mean, I really don't care what you have to say. Nice. Thank you guys so much. See you guys next week. Bye.